Are you best friends with Micah Parsons, Baldinger?
Good morning, guys. No, I wouldn't say that, but I do enjoy watching him play, and I have enjoyed, studying him this season. That's for sure.
Does he respond the most on Twitter to your film breakdowns, or is there another player who's right up there with him?
There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys who respond. Jalen Ramsey. I mean, there's Max Crosby. I mean, there's a lot of guys that watch him and respond. Good and bad. It's not always the best remarks, but if I'm being critical. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys who study it and watch it from around the league. So it's a good way to kind of connect with some of the players in the league.
Does Jalen get sassy with you on Twitter?
Not really. No, Jalen's a big fan. He, in fact,
not much to criticize.
No, not.
No, well, I tell him sometimes, it's your day off, Jalen. You're allowed to go out, have some fun. You don't have to sit here and study football all day. It's Tuesday. Go enjoy yourself.
Did the Cowboys catch a break getting San Francisco? We were looking at, other teams in the NFC West with the Cardinals or the Rams. Then all of a sudden, after a crazy, unforgettable Sunday, they get San Francisco. Do you think, matchup-wise, they caught a break?
I think they got the toughest matchup that they could have gotten, to be honest with you. I think San Francisco presents a lot of issues and problems. I think Dan Quinn knows about it. It's a question of, are they going to be able to defend the 49ers offense? I think it's a tough matchup for the Cowboys.
Well, let's dive further into it. How do you think it's a difficult matchup, and what are some of the different problems?
There's very few teams in the league that run a two-back system the way the 49ers do, that have both Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle, in combination, along with the left tackle like Trent Williams, and then two backs in Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel, and the way that they run the ball. I mean, it's very difficult to defend, no matter what you do. If you try to stack the box the way the Rams did, they run on the perimeter. If you try to defend the perimeter, they pound you up the middle. I mean, there's just very little, and they've got an elite play caller. So, and then their play action game is very, very good. So I think that offensively, trying to stop that team, the Rams couldn't stop them in the second half of the game at all. It's there's a lot there. There's a lot that you have to really look at and study, and then figure out a way to stop it, because it's not like any other run game in the league.
Because of how they run, and quite frankly, I don't say how little they pass, but relatively speaking to the rest of the league, is this a game where you may have to change how you use Micah, that he may not be rushing the passer as much, that he may be sitting back waiting for those runs? Yeah,
I think he could play off the ball inside, a little bit more than he does in a lot of other games. They really, love to get to their pass rush group as much as they can. They put Tank inside. They put Mike outside. They run a lot of games over there. It's really effective. They're very good at it. But this is not a game where you want to play Tank inside and Micah outside, at least, in 2nd and 8, because 2nd and 8 is a rundown for the 49ers, or it can be. And so, it's when they're looking at it, it's a zone blocking scheme. It's not a power scheme the way, say the Eagles run, or some of the other teams that they see. And then their motions can really throw you off, because if you're in man coverage and they're motioning these guys across, you're going to remove yourself from the mix and from the box, and all of a sudden you're going to be light in the middle. And so they attack your coverages as much as your fronts. And so it's really tricky. It really is. And if they start having success running the ball, they won't stop. And we've seen them in the postseason run it 45 times against, the Minnesota Vikings, against the Green Bay Packers. And if you're having trouble stopping it, they're just going to keep coming at you.
Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, Baldy's Breakdowns here on Shan and RJ, our weekly Wednesday playoff guest the rest of the way in this postseason. We've talked about everything offensively except for the most important thing. And I think there's a reason for that. Jimmy Garoppolo is the reason why we were more excited to get them over Arizona and the Rams. What do you think of Garoppolo? Is he disrespected?
I think so. I mean, the guy's playing with I don't know how bad his thumb is, or his hand, but, he's playing through it. He's as tough as they come. You can light him up. That's fine. Like, that guy just gets up off the ground, dusts himself off. He'll stay in there and take a hit. He's got a, I remember when he was coming out, he was in New England. Now, I remember I was announcing an Eagle-Patriot preseason game. And my instant comparison with Garoppolo, not just because they went to the same school, was Romo. I mean, he's got the same release as Tony. He's got a snap release. It's very quick. That's why he can stay in there until the last possible second and still get the ball to where he wants to get to. He's not always as accurate as he wants to. You're probably going to get an opportunity to get a couple. If I'm Trayvon Diggs and I'm watching Garoppolo throw the ball in the middle of the field, I'm thinking I'm going to get one on Sunday afternoon. He will make some mistakes in his throws. He'll sail it on occasion, but he also, sees the field very, very well. And, he will stay in that pocket until the last possible second. So I think he's disrespected from just a pure standpoint of being as tough as you need to be at that position.
How do you think they might utilize Trey Lance in this one, if at all?
Well, they went 3 months without using him at all. And then they pulled him out, when Garoppolo got hurt, and he played very, very well. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have a package for him in this postseason. I kind of tend to doubt it, but it won't surprise me if there's something that they think that he can exploit the way Dallas plays defense to put him out there. But for 3 months, he literally didn't see the field.
Break down the San Fran defense for us, Brian.
Well, they dressed 10 defensive linemen last week against the Rams, and they rotated them, and it was the best performance they've had since the 2019 playoff run.
Wow.
They really affected the quarterback. They hit Matt Stafford 13 times last week. They sacked him, a half a dozen times. They really got after him, and they're really a front four dominant team, but they do have blitz packages. They like to send Fred Warner, and usually it's off some kind of a twist stunt where he can come free. And then, they got a rookie corner out there at the left cornerback position. People have tried to test him. Last week he got an interception in the game. That was a big difference. They got Emmanuel Mosley back at the other corner, which is a good thing because I think he's a really good player. And their safeties are really active. So I think there's a really good defense. I think D'Amico Ryans is in his first year as a defensive coordinator. And I think as the season has gone on, I think he's gotten better and better. One thing about the 49ers defense, they play really hard and they play really fast and they don't stay blocked. So I think they're a good challenge for the Cowboys offense.
What's the biggest advantage that each team has over the other?
Well, I would say that, look, this is Dak's fourth postseason game. He doesn't have a ton of experience in the postseason. But I do think that, he has elite weapons to go to. I think when you have CD and Amari, and for whatever reason, and I don't know what the reason is, they don't get the ball to him enough. But if you have those two guys on the field, it should be enough. I mean, those two guys are elite route runners, elite players. And so I think that that's an advantage, for the Cowboys. And they've got a good offensive line. I don't know if Tyron's going this week or not. I'm sure he is. At least play through whatever his issues have been. But, that can be a strength for him as well. For the 49ers, I just think they have a swagger to them where they feel like they're the underdogs. They love being the underdogs. And there's no lack of confidence in Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, Trent Williams. There's no lack of confidence. They feel like they can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime, in any place. And so that's and then if you're down 17-0 in basically a playoff game, or at least a playoff game to get into the playoffs last week, and you come out of that kind of a crypt, that can only help you, for the next round.
Do you like San Francisco in this game?
Yeah, well, I give them I give them a real good chance to pull this upset off. That's for sure. But I mean, I think the Cowboys are a better overall team with better overall talent. But I like the way the 49ers can play and what they're capable of doing.
Brian Baldinger here on 105.3 The Fan. What did you see throughout this offensive slump with Dak and the Cowboys over this past month? What did you see on tape that wasn't working for them?
Well, I saw a lot. I mean, I saw periodically where Dak is throwing one route and Amari's running another. I see a lack of connection at times, which I don't understand.
Yeah, how can that be?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand. Dak is throwing it to one spot and Amari is stopping or he's going. Like they're not in sync all the way around. I see the inability to get the ball to CD, which is I just don't understand. Like, if you're the Green Bay Packers, they know exactly how to get the ball to Devontae Adams. Yeah. If I'm the Cowboys, like, CD might be my best player. I got to find a way to get him 10 targets, 12 targets in a game, and they don't. So I'm a little mystified by that. I would say that there's a lot of drops all the way around, too many drops. I think that's been a problem. And that's not on Dak. That's just on the guys, not catching the ball. So I think those are some of the things. But to me, you've got Amari is a great route runner, and route runners require time and patience. Like, you can't win the route in the first step and a half. Like, you got to be able to set your guy up. And so the quarterback and the offense has to be a little patient for him to go to work.
And we've lost the running game.
Well, they get away from it. I know that. I know that they would love to be able to get Pollard and Zeke, in tandem, and really set those guys up, because there's a good change of pace when Pollard comes in the game. That's for sure. But you got to be able to, like, these playoff games and really issues during the season is what has to happen is it's not necessarily people say, well, you got to jump out to a quick lead. Well, not really. What you have to be able to do is stay on the field and convert third downs and sustain offense so that you can get into your game plan. Yeah. And you can find out what the defense is doing and how they're matching your personnel groupings and your motions. And if you're just off the field too quickly, it's hard to get that rhythm to what you can do to make things work. And that's on both sides. That's the 49ers have had that issue. The Cowboys have had that issue. But if you can stay on the field and just sustain offense and put together 8 and 10 plays, whether it leads to field goals or scores or not, then you can at least get to your game plan and say, okay, this is how they're playing the inside zone. This is how the linebackers are attacking the combo blocks. This is how they're playing our speedo route combinations, whatever it might be. But you need to be able to see it, because every game is going to be different no matter how much you study and prepare for these games.
What's the other game this weekend you just have a feeling about, where you're like, I would be worried if I was this team? What's that one game that you're thinking that way about?
I would say the Raiders going into Cincinnati, can win that game. I don't know that they will, but I mean, the way their defensive line is playing, I mean, Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback in the league for a reason. His offensive line is average at best. He likes to hold the ball. He likes to spread it out with 5 receivers. And he's got an elite crew to throw it to. It needs time, though. And so can Max Crosby and Quentin Jefferson, that group, get after him. And then I would say that the Eagles can give Tampa problems because of the way that they play. Very few teams have Jalen Hurts and have a running game as powerful as the Eagles. The Cowboys saw it last week with backups. They can run the ball as well as anybody in this business. And if you can do that, you can keep Tom Brady on the sideline for long stretches of a time.